Hi, my name is Kevin, and my fiance and I, are really happy to just take delivery of the brand new Tesla Model 3. So I'll walk around the car so you can take a good look around the exterior of the vehicle. As you can see, we got the blue 19-inch wheel option on this car. We took delivery of this car on December 26th, the day after Christmas. Really happy. Best Christmas present ever. As you can see, there's the panoramic sun glass top. The video on this side of the car is a lot cleaner without the lens flare. Sorry about that. Now that you've seen the outside of the car, let's talk about getting into the car. When you pick up the car, they give you this fancy little key card, and this is the key to your car. There's a picture on the back for how you use it. As you can see in the picture, what you were supposed to do is just put the key card up against that B pillar there, and that unlocks the car. So, and once the car is unlocked, you push the handle and you open the door. This is what the inside of the car looks like. It's a little different than most of the traditional cars you see on the road out there. We'll get back to the inside of the driver console in a bit. The rear seats here, there's actually plenty of legroom in there. I'm 6 feet tall, and I can comfortably sit in the back seat without hitting my head. This is the trunk. It's really long and deep, very spacious, very roomy. I folded down the seat partly so you can kind of see a little bit of how deep that is. In the trunk here, you'll see the sticker that they usually put on car windshields, and this package here that actually contains your charging kit, which we'll open up and talk about in a minute. The charging port, if you're familiar with the Model S's or the Model X's, is on the side of the car, and it's built into this panel here. You just tap on it a little bit and it lifts up. It'll close on its own. There's a charging light indicator. We'll go over that in a little bit. And this is the Tesla charging port. It is specific to Teslas. There's an adapter that's included in the charging kit for the J1772 plug. That's more common. You can get additional adapters for other plugs, but between those two, you'll probably be good anywhere in the US at least. In order to charge with the charging adapter, you can grab this from your charging kit. This end of it is the J1772 adapter. It's pretty standard across America on most ChargePoint charging stations, and pretty much most of the charging stations will have this one, except for the fast charge, DC fast charge stations. And the other end is the Tesla adapter, and so you plug public chargers onto there, plug this into there, and you're good to go. All right, here's the trunk again. I switched cameras really quick just to show you how large this is. On the side here, we have the front license plate, which we will take out. There's actually room underneath this panel here, so you can lift it up, and there's a secret compartment underneath, which you can store quite a bit of stuff. I think our charging cable will be likely to stay down there. Model 3s do not have a powered trunk, so you can usually use a little handle that they have there and close it. It's one of the features I miss from my Model S. These seats do fold flat if you need to. And in the back, they have cup holders in the middle, which is quite nice. Also not something I have in my Model S. One of the most interesting things about this car is probably the front dash. So Tesla got away with the traditional driver's display and air vents, um, control sticks and buttons. Pretty much all of that just went completely away. Um, the steering wheel has just a couple of controls. Your turn signal stalk. On the right, you have your gear shift lever. You can switch it to park, reverse, neutral, drive. And this is also what you use to engage autopilot and cruise control. And then your steering wheel has two thumb wheels that you can rock left and right and scroll up and down, kind of like the wheel on a mouse. There's two of them, one on the left and right, and then obviously the horn in the middle. Everything else is controlled by this display in the middle. This display is the control center for the Model S. The vent system's really nifty in this car. In order to adjust where you want the air to come out, you use these little buttons, on-screen buttons, to direct the flow of air. The vents basically push air out through that little bar, and underneath there's another little vent to blow the air up and down. And so this control allows you to direct the air pretty much anywhere you want it to go in the vehicle for both the driver and the passenger. You can split the dot, so to speak, and have it actually kind of go up and down and like that. Right, so now the driver's side has it kind of up and to the sides, whereas the passenger is a little bit lower in the middle. Very nifty controls. You can turn this all the way up, but unfortunately not to 11. It does, however, sound really loud. It's quite powerful. Unlike the Model S, which has, I would say, a little bit of an underpowered air conditioning system for the size of the vehicle, this actually feels more than adequate for a car of this size. Most of the time, you're just going to set the temperature and let the car figure it out. There are controls for defogging and whether you want the air to go to your feet, to your face, recirculate, and so on. The pane on the left here is going to basically be your driver's view. You have the charge level of your vehicle. You can control whether or not you're doing scheduled charging for taking advantage of nighttime time of use rates that may be cheaper. And you can change your charge limit. Again, Tesla tends to recommend between 50 to 90% for your day-to-day charge levels, and you know, you can kick that up and change it to 100% for road trips. For this car, this is the longer range model with just over 300 miles of range. So 90% gives us over 270 miles of range, which is far more than enough for daily driving. So here you also have controls for the frunk and the trunk. We'll take a look at the frunk real quick. If you're familiar with the Model S and the Model X of the Tesla cars, there is a front trunk or frunk. This frunk is pretty good size. It's actually quite a bit smaller than the one on the Model S and the Model X. Personally, I don't use the frunk that often. I tend to use it for storing things that I don't need to access very often, so like a roadside assistance kit, and so on. This one's actually has a waterproof liner. You can remove the carpet piece that's on the bottom and flip up those little hooks. Under that, what you see here is a tow hook if you need it, and those two clips at the top allow you to hang your grocery bags so they don't roll around in your frunk when you're driving around. From the driver's control panel, there's a button here you can tap, and that brings up the rear view camera. It has a phenomenal view. You don't actually need to tap it to bring it up. You can put the car into reverse, and that automatically brings up the rear view camera. Oh, I don't have my seatbelt on, so it's ringing at me. And then there's guidelines to give you an approximate idea of where your car is headed. The mirrors automatically fold down if you want to enable that option. It's kind of cool. I like it. And as you can see here, it tells you, well, what's going on in the car. And in this case, it's complaining that I don't have my seatbelt plugged in. So I will just plug my seatbelt in. And there's also the microphone button, which you can use to give Tesla commands. We don't need to actually give it any commands at the moment, so we'll get rid of that. And then wiper controls. Wiper controls are here. You can turn it on and off, but one of the interesting things is that this car has the wiper controls manually controlled on the screen, which may be a little bit of a unexpected feature. Tesla is working on releasing a new software update so that the car will have auto-sensing rain wipers. They have the hardware in it, but the software is not quite done yet. When it is, well, you'll probably never actually make use of this button again. But for now, you can manually control your windshield wipers. There's an odometer. We're driving a little spiritedly at the moment at 264 watt-hours per mile. The car is rated for, I believe, around 237 watt-hours per mile. And after you drive a little bit, the tire pressure ratings will kick in. So what are the settings on this car? So you can go here and check and adjust all of the settings. So if you recall earlier, I said that the steering wheel had a couple of wheels on them. And the wheels are used to adjust things like the mirrors and the steering wheel. So if you tap steering wheel, so you can basically just adjust the steering wheels by rolling the wheels up, down, left, and right, and so forth. And when you're done, you can hit save, but in this case, I don't want to save them. Oh, you'll also notice that there's a profile here for MC Mai, that's my fiance, and then Easy Entry. Easy Entry is this kind of a cool feature. So if you put the car in drive, oh, actually, I'm already in drive. So if you put the car into park, you may have heard the car basically just lift up the steering wheel and slide the seat back to make it easier for me to get in and out of the car. When you put the car in drive again, it moves the steering wheel and the seat back into the position that you have set for yourself. And if you want to get in and out of the car, there's this little button right here. That is the door unlock feature. You push it and the window slides down a little bit and the door pops open a little bit and you can open it and go. So kind of going through these menus a little bit to show you what the car's features are. Automatic headlights, front fog lights, the interior lights are typically automatic. I'm not entirely sure what the ambient lights are. We haven't figured that out yet, but they're turned on. Locks. So in addition to this key card, which acts as your key to the car, when you first buy the car, they pair your phone to the car. And when they pair your phone to the car, your phone actually becomes the key to this car. And this key card basically just sits in your wallet and well, honestly, just looks really cool. When you walk up to the car with your phone, the car can unlock automatically. And when you walk away from the car with your phone, the car will lock automatically. Similarly, if you hit park, the car will automatically unlock and your passengers, your kids, whatever, they can get out of the car. Really cool, really neat. You will, as long as you don't forget your phone, you will always have your car keys, and you won't ever have to worry about locking your car keys in the car unless you happen to make a habit of locking your phone in the car. The car has a couple of different steering modes. We prefer Sport. This drives much more like a sports car. The car is much more responsive to changes in the steering wheel. If you turn it more to Comfort, then it drives more like, I would say, like a Lexus. You kind of have to make bigger changes, bigger turns in the steering wheel to get the same turn from the car. Regenerative braking is currently set to low. I prefer standard. My fiance prefers low. And then creep. Creep is the option where if you put the car into drive and you let go of the brake, it behaves like most, gasoline-powered cars, and the car moves slowly forward. If you turn creep off and you put the car into drive and you let go of the brake, then the car doesn't really do anything. It just rolls, well, because I'm on an uneven surface. But if you're on a flat level ground, it doesn't do anything. Autopilot. For this car, we bought the autopilot package, but not the full self-driving package. So for autopilot, it still includes the same features as the Model S and X, where you can have the car basically stay in its lane and maintain speed and follow whatever's in front of it. Auto steer is the option for having the car, stay within its lane. Otherwise, it's just cruise control. The cruise distance you can set with this number. It's currently at 4, but you can increase it or decrease it depending on how much comfort and space you want to give the person in front of you. And if you enable the automatic lane change, then when you flip the turn signal stalk up or down, the car will check to make sure that there's enough room in the next lane and make the lane change by itself. So the other controls that you have available to you on the screen are down here. You have the seat heaters, forward and rear defogging. You have also your music controls. All the music controls are on the display. So if you wanted to do something other than FM radio, you can switch to streaming music, the TuneIn service, or you can connect to your iPhone or other cell phone. You could connect to an Android phone too. And as always, there's options for adjusting the audio settings. So unlike the Tesla Model S, which has very few cup holders and storage space for anything, and absolutely no center console unless you buy an aftermarket one, the Model 3 has been designed with, well, all of those things. So the first thing you'll notice is both the driver and passenger side have side pockets in the door. That's oddly not something in the higher end Model S. There's also, well, phone charging cradle. So all you have to do is basically slide your phone in, plug it into the charger, and your car will charge your phone, and you can drive off and do whatever. It comes with a Apple and a USB-C charger, so both of those are available. You can swap out the cables if you want. It's fairly easy. The delivery specialist showed us how. And then there's sort of this big cavernous space underneath that you can use to store stuff. Behind that is 2 cup holders, and then you can lift up the middle armrest for a little tray here, which you can remove, and again, a nice big cavernous space underneath that you can use to store things. So I'm sitting myself in the back seat here of the car, and I wanted to give you an idea of how much space there is. I am 6 feet tall, and at the highest point here, I can comfortably put 2, probably 3 fingers. I would also say that there's way more than enough legroom. So passengers in the back of the vehicle can also see the screen with no problem. The other cool thing about being in the back is there are 2 USB ports to charge your devices in the back, so your kids can play with their iPads and not run out of juice on long road trips. The back seats of this car also have clothes hangers, but you just kind of push them and they come out. So this is the Tesla charging kit that comes with the Model 3. It's open that up. It's really nice. It's actually very similar to the other ones. There's a few differences. So for the first main difference is that they've, for the plug adapters, they've now made it so that the plugs are these little pieces that hook onto this charging unit, which then has a nice long cable, and on the other end is the Tesla plug that you plug into your car. Right now, the pack that we got has a 240 volt dryer plug adapter. This is a NEMA 1450. It is a 240 volt plug with 50 amp capacity. You may need to buy either a different head for a 240 volt plug if you have like the 30 amp version in your garage for a dryer. But if you have the 50 amp, or if you go to like an RV charging site or something like that, that should work for you. And then the other charging plug they give you is, well, this is kind of your regular household socket. I don't recommend using this unless you really need to charge. You're only going to get about 3 miles for each hour of charge using this, so that's not going to get you very far. Well, a plug like this will get you probably around, say probably around 20 miles, maybe more, worth of charge per hour. So overnight, this plug can get you fully charged up. This is the mobile connector, and for most people who have home charging installed, you won't be needing that. But if you don't have home charging installed and you're relying on like a regular plug, then that'll take care of your charging requirements. Tesla does have additional heads available. You can buy and plug into the adapter, and if you have a different plug. So as I mentioned before, charging your car is pretty easy. You just open up the little charging panel, and we have the Tesla high-powered wall connector. This is the older version, so this supports the 80 amp charging, the higher current. You can get the new one, I think, for about $500, and then you have to install it at home. You'll need to have an electrician do it, unless you're pretty good with doing the wiring yourself. But I would recommend having an electrician do it. This cable here, just grab that, plug it in, and this is the charging indicator. So when it's blue, it's basically talking, and when it's flashing green, it is charging. So if we come over here to the car, we can see that the car is now charging. It's adding, well, it's charging at 240 volts, about 48 amps, and it's adding over 20 miles per hour. That number will slowly creep up as charging progresses. And in this case, it'll take, well, roughly an hour to charge. For most of the time when you're charging, you should charge daily. If you do, then you never really have to worry about it. It's like your cell phone. You charge it every day, and then you don't really worry about running out of juice. The car goes up to 300 miles on a charge. At 90%, it goes, around 270 miles. And so unless you're doing, 250 miles of driving a day, if you charge it every night, you'll never need to run out of battery power. So as you can see here, it's kind of stabilized at around 38 miles per hour. So almost 40 miles an hour. If we were to charge this overnight, to get, a full charge would take about 6 to 8 hours. Personally, that I think is more than fast enough. I would prefer to at least get 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night, so you'll pretty much always wake up with a full charge. And as I mentioned before, you can schedule the charging so that it only happens after midnight. Most people who have time of use rates, at least here in the Bay Area, the rates go cheaper at midnight until about 6 or 7 in the morning. So if you charge for 6 hours, from midnight to 6 a.m., you can take advantage of the lowest possible charging rates. So that is our brand new Tesla Model 3. We're pretty big fans of Tesla, and we're really happy that we were able to snag one of their early Tesla Model 3 deliveries. Just to kind of give you an idea of how crazy we are about Tesla, we also have a Tesla Model S. That is my car. Because of the Tesla Model S, Tesla gave existing owners priority for deliveries. Thankfully, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to get it this year. We are also proud owners of the Tesla Powerwall battery packs, along with the solar system that they installed. Thank you for watching my very first video. I'll work on making better videos in the future. I hope you found my walkthrough of the Model 3 features to be helpful. We want to thank Tesla for their hard work designing and building both our Model S and our Model 3. They're amazing cars. We can't recommend them enough. If you have any questions about the car, how it works, anything, please send them my way. I'll try to answer them as best I can. I've put my referral link in the description below, which can give you free unlimited supercharging if you buy a Model S or a Model X. Or if you get solar, it's good for a 5-year extended warranty. Thanks!